So next we'll take a look here at how do an organization's vision, mission, and values really help drive their strategy. So we'll explore a few different questions here. First question that we're going to take a look at is what is vision and what's its purpose in how an organization pursues its strategy? So if we think about some of the work of Jim Collins, he really is kind of the guru who many people look to around that combination of vision, mission, and values and what it does for an organization. What it does is provides a framework for the organization, and that framework helps ground the organization around a couple different principles. The first is what is that core of ourselves that we need to preserve, and then what is it that we need to focus on as we move forward into the future. And this is where vision comes in. So vision is often described as who we strive to be, or what's that envisioned future of the organization as it moves forward trying to accomplish its goals. Vision typically has some sort of time horizon, and in theory can never truly be accomplished because we're always striving to achieve it. So strategy should be some sort of ongoing attempt of the organization to try to achieve its mission, realizing that it's always going to be in pursuit. So the next question we'll consider is what is a mission statement and what's its purpose in the larger organizational strategy? So an organization's mission statement, it's really part of their core ideology, that in combination with their values. Mission statements, like vision statements, are meant to be timeless and oftentimes involve a discovery process with various stakeholders who might be involved. So while the vision statement was who do we strive to be, an organization's mission statement truly is about why do we exist? What is our daily purpose? Oftentimes, its role is really that one of guiding and inspiring individuals within the organization. Take Starbucks, for example. I am a coffee addict. If you've ever heard of the concept of Starbucks' third space, they strive to make their organization's people's third space. Their home is their first space. Their work is their second space. Hopefully, unfortunately, sometimes for some people, that's a little reversed. But Starbucks wants to be the third space. So their mission statement, what they try to strive for their employees to really achieve on a daily basis, is the idea to inspire and nurture the human spirit. One person, one cup, in one neighborhood at a time. That's their mission statement. So that's meant to be that guiding principle day in and day out. And it's meant to be one of those core building blocks of an organization's strategy. So what are values and where do they fit within the strategic mastery process? So if we go back to Jim Collins and that combination of vision, mission, and values, values make up that second component connected to mission, that make up the kind of that core ideology. Values are they're timeless, and oftentimes they're a discovery process with key stakeholders and people involved in the organization. Values are really meant to be at the core of an organization's culture, and they're oftentimes best used a defined set of behaviors that people will really operate by in their interactions with colleagues, with their own customers, maybe with vendors and clients that they interact with. So they're what the organization stands for. So as we think about values, they are oftentimes maintained even if they can become a strategic disadvantage to the organization. They oftentimes will hold an intrinsic value to the organization. So values, it is a big fluffy term. It's oftentimes hard to grasp our arms around them. There are lots of organizations that have these big placards in their organizations that list 20 different values. The problem there is if we say we value authenticity, honesty, integrity, fiscal stewardship, sustainability, and now the list goes on, suddenly it's hard to identify any single behavior that can meet all of those different values. So there is one particular model, Patrick Lencioni. If you're familiar with Patrick Lencioni, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, another book that he wrote called The Advantage, where he takes a look at for organizations who have really gotten their values down. They look at their values from a different perspective. We'll walk you through that. For those best organizations who really understand how their values work, What Lencioni says is at first they've identified what their core values are. Now, according to Lencioni, an organization can really only have 2, maybe 3 core values. They are intrinsic to the organization. They can't be aspired to. They are embedded within the organization's DNA. Couple rules of thumb you might consider in order to help you figure out what are my organization's core values. 2 rules of thumb that Lencioni offers up. The first one, the organization is willing to suffer negative consequences in living to those values. So for example, you have a star employee who treats a customer incredibly poorly, and customer service is a core value. We're willing to let go of that top performer because that violation of the value was so egregious. So if an organization is willing to suffer that kind of pain in service to a value, there's one kind of straw in the wind that you've landed on a core value. Second element that Lencioni offers up is that the organization understands that sometimes employees, in trying to live to the values, might stretch a value too far. So say again, customer service is one of our core values. They get that an employee might make a fiscally irresponsible decision, practically give away the farm, in an effort to maintain customer satisfaction. If customer satisfaction, customer relations is a core value, we understand that sometimes employees might take that value too far to live in service of the value and really try to work with it. So that's at the core of Lencioni's model. He then says we have aspirational values. These are values that we want to get better at as an organization. We want to create more sustainable solutions. We realize that's not our first competency, but it is going to be a value now that we aspire to in the future. It will never be a core value, but it is something now that we're going to try to look at very intentionally, try to hire for it, and even often development and training as a way to get all of us better at it, recognizing it will never be our core. The third sphere of kind of values that Lencioni talks about are what he refers to as permission to play. So if your organization has respect, integrity, honesty as corporate values, what Lencioni would say is those aren't values. Those are just permission to play in the 21st century. All organizations, if they want to keep their customers, if they want to keep their workforce, they have to operate in a respectful, honest, and integrity-based manner. So they're not necessarily values. Now, it's not that it's bad to say that those are values necessarily, but the problem is that it waters down the other 2. It makes that list even bigger, and it's less to be able to focus on. Finally, Lencioni mentions that many organizations have what are referred to as accidental values. They're values that we've built into our system. We didn't mean to build them into our system, and they're not necessarily a good thing. For example, in many organizations, an accidental value is we hire people like us. Do they fit our personality? Sometimes culture gets a bad rap, and do they fit our culture? And when we're hiring for a culture, it's really about, do I like the same books that person reads? Do I believe in their same political points of views? And we run into a problem there. We've now created an accidental value of similarity. And it's rare that accidental values have positive impact on an organization. So as you reflect on your organization's values, can you really suss out which are core, which are aspirational, which are just permission to play? And are there any accidental values in your system that could be impacting your overall corporate strategy?